What's up, everybody? Mike here. I made a triple berry fruit tart with a bacon fat tart shell. I'm going to walk you through. Ingredients for my tart shell are laid out in front of me. I have 8 tablespoons, that is 1 stick of softened unsalted butter, and I have 2 tablespoons of bacon fat. If you don't have any bacon fat, well, shame on you, but you can substitute this for 2 tablespoons of softened butter, and then you're also going to want about a ½ teaspoon of salt. Then we have 1 egg yolk, just the yolk, a full teaspoon of vanilla extract, a third of a cup of plain white sugar, and then 1½ cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to walk you through the procedure to make my tart shell next. In the bowl of my stand mixer, I have my bacon fat and my butter, and I'm going to get that creamed together with my sugar. Once combined and fluffy, I'm going to add in my egg yolk and my vanilla and get this combined. Once that has been fully incorporated, I'm going to add in my flour in 2 stages. And my dough has come together. So I'm now going to take this dough and I'm going to press it into my my tart pan next. So for my tart, I have a 9-inch tart pan with a removable bottom that I'm going to be pressing all of this dough into. And to help me press it into this tart pan, I have a glass that has some nice defined corners on it so that I can work it into all of those nooks and crannies. So just take your time and press this into your tart shell. You want it to be about 1/4 of an inch thick all the way around, including up the sides. So I am just going to take my time and get this pressed in, and you're going to see the finished product momentarily. So I have pressed my dough all into the corners. All that I did after it was pressed in was I made sure to cut off any of the excess that was overhanging on the top here. Now this tart shell is going to go onto a baking pan just as some added precaution. And this is going to go into the middle rack of a preheated 350-degree oven for anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, depending on all kinds of factors. So I'm shooting for about 25, but I'm going to check on it starting at 20 and then possibly go up to 30 or maybe even 32. I'm going to show you what I want it to look like next. My tart shell is done. It took me about 28 minutes. I checked on it at 20, it was very pale. I checked on it at 25, there was a little bit of color around the edges, and now I have a nice even browning. I did dock it very quickly with a fork before I put it in the oven just so that it wouldn't raise up a massive amount because of the steam from the butter. So this is going to cool completely, and because it is 9:30 at night, I'm going to let this cool overnight before I finish it off in the morning, and you're going to see that in just a little bit. So this is what I'm going to need to make the interior filling of my fruit tart. I have a 1/4 cup of white sugar, 1 egg. I have 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour and 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, a 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 cup of milk. You can use whatever type of milk you want, 3 tablespoons of unsalted room temperature butter, and you want to make sure that they are in 3 individual tablespoons because you're going to be incorporating them 1 tablespoon at a time. And then lastly, I have about a teaspoon and a half of vanilla to really bring out some vanilla flavor. I'm going to make the filling next. So there is no stand mixer to make the filling for my tart. In a heat-proof bowl, I have dumped in my sugar. I'm also now going to take my cornstarch, flour, and salt and get that in, and I want to mix this around. And once I have all of this combined, I'm going to go ahead and combine in my egg. Make sure that this is well combined, and then you want to make sure to put this off to the side as you are heating up your milk. And I'm going to show you the next steps in a moment. Making the filling again continues to be very easy. I'm going to take my milk, again just 1 cup of regular milk, and I'm going to get it over a medium-high heat until it starts to simmer. Then I'm going to very slowly add that into my eggs, which you're going to see in a minute. So my milk is nice and steamy. What I want to do now is cut the heat down to a medium-low, and then I'm going to slowly whisk in this milk into my egg, sugar, flour, and cornstarch mixture so that I'm not curdling the eggs. Once it is fully incorporated, I'm going to get this foamy mixture back into my saucepan so that this can start to thicken up and to cook over that medium-low heat. I'm going to show you what I'm looking for consistency-wise next. So my filling has gotten to the consistency that I want. I am able to pull my whisk through and it is able to leave a solid trail. So what I want to do, just to make sure that this is completely smooth and that I didn't curdle any eggs, is I want to push this through a fine mesh strainer and into a bowl before I whisk in the final flavorings, which is the butter and the vanilla. All right, so I have strained my cream filling. Now what I want to do is I want to stir in my vanilla and my butter. I'm going to start with all of my vanilla and 1 tablespoon of butter. Get this thoroughly incorporated before you mix in your next pat of butter to avoid it splitting. You want to make sure to add the butter while the mixture is still warm so that it will actually melt in and incorporate. Then once you have this thoroughly combined and mixed together, you want to let this sit for about 3 or 4 minutes just so it's still not piping hot. And then you're going to pour it into your prepared tart shell. All right, it is almost time to finish my tart, but we got to go through one more step here before final assembly, and that is to get this pastry cream into my tart shell and then have it chill so that it is able to firm up just a little bit more with that butter, and it is not quite as liquidy. So these are going to be the berries that I use to assemble my final tart. I have about 6 ounces each of raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries. Make sure that you go through and pick out any of the potential stems or the flowers or the bad berries. And then I have about 1/3 of a cup of honey that I'm going to warm up in the microwave and then brush over top. I want the floral notes of the honey with this. You can also use apricot preserves or some other type of jam or jelly, but this is what I'm going to go with, and you're going to see a little bit of the assembly process next. All that I'm going to do first to assemble my tart is to arrange my berries in a decorative pattern across the top. I have arranged my berries and I have warmed up my honey so that it is nice and liquidy. And now I just want to glaze my berries with this honey. And that is how you make my triple berry fruit tart with a bacon fat tart shell. I really hope you enjoy it when you make it, but for right now, just look at my face.